All right, ladies and gentlemen, Fab's in the house. And today I've got the Liong Mah SDC. This is a pretty nice flipper. We're gonna analyze the look, the sound, and the feel of this guy. But first of all, let's just do a quick size comparison with some other flippers. This is your CKF Snafu, just a little bit bigger, and just something a little bit smaller like your Pocketknife Mini Glimpse. Let's see a couple more popular options. This is up against the PM2 and this is up against the PM3. So you can see, you know, handle size a little bit big, smaller than the PM2. What else we can throw in the mix? Like just a couple, like a Benchmade 940-1 right over here, and just a Sebenza, like a large 21. So same range, more or less. All right, let's have a look at the design of this guy, because this is made by Reate knives in China, and they do, you know, pretty nice, good quality knives. This is designed by Liong Mah, so it's an original design, and it has some pretty cool features. For example, you know, you're gonna notice that the lines are pretty smooth. I think it's well designed. In the closed position, it is very appealing. I like, you know, this line over here, you know, quite symmetrical on this side. Beautiful chamfering all around. I mean, yeah, you can see they you know, they thought quite a lot to design, you know, while they were designing this one. So very good piece. It's a frame lock over here. So integral frame lock, designed by Chris Reeve. You can see immediately that the screws are titanium and bronze anodized, and they're all T8. Okay, so disassembling is going to be pretty easy and straightforward. You're going to need just one bit. And something really interesting, it's a little detailed, but I appreciate that. So they have 1, 2, 3, and 4 screws with a different head than the pivot, but they have the same thread and same head, same size. So very nice touch. So when you're gonna disassemble this one, you cannot swap them up, because this screw here won't fit in the pivot collar, which is a nice thing. You know, it's on both sides, beautifully like domed like that. So just protruding a little bit. It's not like, you know, obtrusive or anything. I think it's a pretty nice touch. You've got, you know, your nice lanyard hole over here, you see, which it's built in the backspacer, so you have no risk of the blade, you know, hitting the lanyard, the paracord. The backspacer is geared, as you can see. You know, it's protruding a little bit, nothing like, you know, too crazy. It's not too aggressive. It's there, just a nice little touch. Scales, of course, are titanium. You have, you know, this nice jimping going on over here, and if you notice, it's kind of like a saw. You see, it's oriented in that way, so you have the maximum amount of friction going this way, which is a pretty clever design, I think. You've got, you know, this like finger grooves on both sides. You may not notice, but the lock bar, you of course have has a lock face insert. So like a piece of steel, it's gonna make contact between, you know, the blade and the handle. And they built in even an over travel stop. So it's right there, so you cannot overextend the lock bar when you're disengaging it. So that's a nice, interesting touch. The pocket clip, it's like milled, so it has, you know, like over here, sits pretty flush with the handle. So nice job they did here. What else? Centering, it's spot on. And yeah, I would say for like the closed position, we are good for the look. When you open the knife, it presents itself in, you know, its entirety, and it's very pleasing. It's very balanced. The lines are very interesting. You see that you have a little thumb ramp over here, you know, with a nice jimping. You know, you have this swedge going down. This is a spear point profile. And as you can see, the blade has a dual tone finish. The flats have been, you see, are satin, and the swedge and the plunge grind, the primary bevel are stone washed to give a nice contrast to the blade, and you know, to hide a little bit more the scratches, you know, during the use. This is an S35 VN over here. S35B VN steel, so pretty good quality. You have, you know, this very, I mean, it's not thick, but it's not even the thinnest stock of the blade, which, you know, tapers down a little bit, but still giving you a pretty solid and strong and quite honestly thick tip. So very good for prying jobs. You have some nice belly over here, and just this part is going to be flat. You have your sharpening choil over here, which is done in a subtle way. Usually it's like more abrupt, it goes more vertically. They did a nice job here because, you know, see, it's like that, and this is going to serve also as a finger choil. And at the same time, you have some jimping going on here, which is like the same, reflects the jimping up top. So it's a nice design because this is your flipper tab, which protrudes like this. So very minimal, you know, flipper tab sticking out. And when you flip it open, the flipper tab just disappears in the design right over here. So sits like that. So it is a pretty clever design. I appreciate this one a lot because usually you're gonna have, for example, like in this one, you're gonna have your flipper tab sticking out. Yes, this can serve as a finger guard because it's going to prevent your hand from going that way. Whereas on this one, you have just this part here, just like your finger groove. So a little bit different option, but still, it's from an aesthetic point of view, I think it's very pleasing. Also from a functional point of view, you're going to have more contact surface. You know, you're going to be able to use more of the edge when your hand is gonna hit the board or, you know, your table. So very interesting. This is something that also Spyderco is doing. Like for example, like your PM2, as you can see, you have some jimping going on over here and also over here. So you're gonna have a pretty secure grip like that. What else? You have, you know, a little bit of billboarding going on. You have the logo over here, Liong Mah Design, and you have just the steel marked over there. So not too crazy, but yeah, I think it distracts a little bit. I prefer like sterile look of a blade, but you know, again, not a biggie. The grind symmetry is pretty spot on. As you can see, both sides have been grinded symmetrically, so pretty good job over here. And yeah, it's also something very interesting is that the handles have been skeletonized from the inside, so they removed some materials to reduce the weight, which is great. You know, this is not like a super light weight knife, but it's not even the heaviest. So I think it's acceptable. And yeah, they thought, you know, they went a little bit the extra mile, removing some material also from the inside. So as you can see, you know, the screws are flush, are sitting nicely flush, not to, you know, take away anything from the design. You also have the finish of the handles. It's like a stonewash finish, but as you can see, there's like milling grooves, really fine. They don't give like too much texture, like, but you can feel a little bit. It's not like super smooth, but it's smooth. You know, you have these grooves, like it's a nice feeling to the touch. But let's hear some sounds, because this is what you hear when you flip this guy open. So it's a pretty solid thwack. It's pretty nice sound. Yeah, very nice. You can also appreciate the bearings when the blade is just opening. You're gonna hear like the bearings just rubbing up against the steel washers which are inserted between the scale and the actual bearing. Beautiful. To reduce the wear of the scales, they did a nice job. So the sound, it's very interesting and quite solid. Yeah, it's loud. When you close the knife, I prefer the sound on the closing for the closing action, because you have, as you can see, like an internal stop pin. It's press fit in the blade right there. So as you can see, there's a track on the inside milled out, and the stop pin, it's gonna hit the scale. And in the closed position is the same thing on this side. So you see the pin goes that way, right there, and then hits the scale. That's why the noise is so nice. It's pretty solid. Oh, I love this one. It's a very pleasant. It's loud. It's not quiet at all, but it's like this. So I really appreciate the sound of this guy. Let's see how this guy feels in the hand. So the grip is pretty good. I have only one thing to say, because there's a little hot spot over here. As you can see, this area here has been milled out, leaving a little chunk outside. So naturally, this is gonna create like a sharp corner over here, especially when the blade is open, because the lock bar is gonna be going down and it's gonna expose that little bit, which is a little bit sharp. So if you choke like this, it's gonna dig a little bit in your finger. If you actually, use the advanced choke grip, you're gonna just avoid that. But you're gonna also perform some lighter tasks. So you're not gonna be in need of, squeezing that much the handle. So just, something to consider. Only one hot spot. The clip doesn't create any, and the overall grip is pretty good actually. I mean, the ergos are very solid, especially because of the dual jimping over here. So you can still choke up, but I'm gonna suggest to use in this position, because this way you can dig a little bit. Fit and finish is quite good. There's no play. The blade is pretty solid. No vertical, no horizontal play. There's no lock rock. It's an overall well-built knife. Reate knows how to do some pretty high quality blades. The solidity is there. I mean, it is a solidly built knife. The feeling, you don't have any part moving, so it's a comfortable and reassuring feeling when you have this guy in your hand. The clip is not like the springiest, so it's quite soft, I would say, because probably it's like this thin, but I mean, not a big deal. It's not reversible, and it's only tip-up carry, so it's overall acceptable, I would say, just a little bit on the soft side. The feeling when you open the blade, it's nice, because the action is actually very solid, very, very smooth, and you have this, the kick back, which is gonna transmit a feeling through the handle to your to the palm of your hand, and it's very, very nice. The detent strength is dialed in perfectly, so you see, yeah, the action is great. You have also there's no rattling when you shake the blade, so no parts are moving. You've got your tip over here, okay, which is pretty nice buried down, so there's no way you're gonna be able to touch it, so pretty safe. And yeah, the lock strength, as you can see, there's no lock stick, and the lock strength it's perfect. I mean, you have to squeeze a little bit, but it's not too strong. So also nice feature over here. yeah, very, very good feeling to close the blade. You don't have to push too much. The only thing is that these, as you can see, are just the same height. So it's usually best to have a little bit more material here, so your finger can just push down that without having to be like jammed in right over here in order to push the lock bar this side. But as you can see, they milled out some areas, so actually your thumb just can go like this and just unlock the bar quite comfortably, I would say. So yeah, that's also good. You have also very, very good closing action. I mean, opening action is solid, smooth. The closing action, as soon as the detent ball over here goes up to the blade, right here, there's like the blade just falls shut. So you have a free fall, of course, and you also have the guillotine effect. You have both in this one. So as soon as you release the lock, the blades falls. And you also have to be careful, because being this smooth and with the absence of the flipper tab, you're gonna do this to your fingers most likely. So because you release this lock and the blade just, you see, goes down because your finger, it's in the cutting path. And if you don't remove it too quickly, it's gonna cut you. So just be careful, you know, because if you hold the thumb like too down, it's risky. So you need to be a little bit up. So you can just do like this, remove the thumb, and just enjoy the pretty smooth closing action. Of course, there's no lock stick because of the lock bar insert present. So it's beautifully designed and nicely built. Also, you have like this nice detent suction in the closing position, so like a little bit of magnetic effect. And I'm sure you know, if you are a fidgeting person, you really are gonna appreciate this one, because it is so smooth and the action is the true highlight of this guy. All right, guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.